The crew of the Cerritos are having a major glow-up moment. Instead of their usual second contact mission, this time they're holding peace talks between two warring delegates. Tensions rise steadily all over the ship, but it's not until the offspring of the two lead delegates go missing that an all-out shape war erupts, nearly destroying the ship. And this sets the backdrop for our A and B plots. The A plot is kind of a redemption arc for Mariner through the life of Ensign Ali. Ali is an accident-prone demigod who seems to share Mariner's insubordinate flair for disobeying orders. Ransom tells Captain Freeman that she is driving him nuts, and she agrees to assign Ali to another ship. After all, she's already been bounced off 6 other ships. But surprisingly, Mariner comes to her rescue. I guess her time at Starbase 80 really did her well because she is buying into this whole idea that the Cerritos is a place for second chances. So she agrees to take Ensign Ali under her wing. Together, they end up investigating the disappearance and potential murder of the lead cube's offspring, Quadrilon. After Ali spills the beans about this alleged crime, the lead orb delegate reveals that their offspring, Radiara, is also missing. This is when the photons hit the fan and the delegates declare all-out war. While the crew is running for their very lives, Mariner discovers that Ali has been keeping secrets. And the biggest secret is Ali's demigod powers over electricity. She says that she didn't want anybody to know because she just wanted to fit in. But Mariner encourages her to use her superpowers to try to end this conflict. At first, it seems like this strategy is totally going to work. Until it doesn't. Somehow, it just makes the delegates even more mad, and they turn into Mighty Morphin giant photons that are big enough to destroy the entire ship. That's when Ali realizes that her true superpower is engineering. She comes up with a clever solution that powers down all of the delegates. And before they can start angrily bumping into each other, the missing offspring suddenly reappear. Turns out they were in the holodeck becoming violently intimate with one another, and that has resulted in an offspring of their own named Squat Aaron. This little photonic being is so adorable that it causes both delegates to stop fighting and go back to the negotiation table. Captain Freeman is very pleased with how Ali handled the situation, so she agrees to keep her on the Cerritos and she assigns her to engineering, noting that she has a good eye for electrical systems. However, she still needs to spend the night in the brig for all the stuff she did wrong today. Mariner decides to keep her company to Ali's great dismay. In the B plot, Boimler continues his quest to try to replicate the life of his bearded double in the alternate universe from episode 1. While poring over his data pad, Boimler discovers that bearded Boimler was actually really good friends with Dr. Ta'ana, and for some reason he decides that this is the secret sauce to getting him to the captain's chair. So he puts together this whole plan to try to convince Dr. Ta'ana to be his friend. Rutherford encourages him to just try to be himself, but Boimler argues that technically he is trying to be himself, just the best version of himself. After a failed attempt to convince Dr. Ta'ana to start calling him Flip, he tries to speak to her in her native language, swearing. It does not go well.
Why are you swearing? How about this?
Later, however, he is impaled with a lightning bolt, and Dr. Ta'ana invents a brand new procedure in order to remove it. She's convinced that this will finally give her the respect that she rightfully deserves in the medical community. She's so excited about this that she finally invites Boimler to her book club, and actually gives him a nickname. Rutherford realizes that the moral of the story is to not be yourself, but to be someone way better, despite Tendy's strong disagreement. Now it's time for the Best Trek Trope Awards. There are 2 Trek tropes that I want to highlight from this episode. The first is the idea of warring diplomats. For some reason, I just think that's so fun that these ships serve as some kind of neutral ground for 2 different groups to have a peaceful negotiation at. This episode totally reminded me of The Next Generation, Season 1, Episode 7, Lonely Among Us. In this episode, the Antikins and the Cele were constantly fighting, even though they were technically assigned to completely different sections of the ship. The second Trek trope I really enjoy is technobabble. Now, a little bit can go a long way, so I don't necessarily need this all the time in every single episode, but sprinkling it here and there just really adds to the world building, in my opinion, just like this.
I can direct an electromagnetic field into the nacelles.
I also want to give an honorable mention to the beautiful nebula in the opening of this episode. One of my favorite things about Star Trek is seeing just the gorgeous vistas in space, and I literally never get tired of it. I love that they've kept the essence of that beauty even in this animated form. Now for epic Easter eggs. There are 3 Easter eggs that I want to highlight from this episode. The first is obviously the mention of Greek gods. Now, this is a throwback to the original series, Season 2, Episode 2, Who Mourns for Adonis? In this episode, Greek gods are revealed to be visiting aliens who subsist on love and worship. The second Easter egg is the casual mention of Dixon Hill when they're investigating Quadrilon's quarters. We first meet Dixon Hill in The Next Generation, Season 1, Episode 12, The Big Goodbye, but we continue to see this character throughout the Next Generation episodes. The last Easter egg is also a casual name drop. In the beginning of the episode, when Rutherford asks Boimler for his stolen data pad, Boimler tries to cover it up and says, "Oh, you've got jokes just like Ronald B. Moore." Ronald B. Moore is the Emmy Award-winning visual effects producer from The Next Generation, Voyager, Enterprise, and the movie Star Trek Generations. And this name drop made me wonder if behind the scenes on set, if he was like a really funny guy. I don't know the answer to that question, but if you know the answer to that question, please drop it in the comments below. The award for episode MVP has to go to Mariner. Suddenly she's becoming the champion of second chances, and I am here for that. Now for the Boimler Beard Watch. I have felt very uncomfortable as I've seen this scruffy beard growing in over the last couple of episodes, but for some reason in this episode, kind of getting used to it, but I still think he has a long way to go. For the future forecast from this episode, I still have a bunch of questions and so much curiosity about what's coming next. My biggest question from this episode is about the character of Ensign Ali herself. It is very late in the game to be introducing a brand new character. So my question is, are they actually going to do anything with this character? Is she going to be important to future storylines? Or was this just a one-off thing? Because if it was a one-off thing, what was the point? Was it just to show us how far Mariner has come? Because I feel like we've been seeing that in every single episode so far. Or will this character be crucial in the finale, or maybe pivotal in understanding the season-long mysterious arc? Drop your predictions in the comments. And speaking of the mysterious arc, we didn't talk about it at all in today's episode. So again, it just makes me wonder, is that actually important at all? Did we need to have a big setup of it in the first few episodes, or is the payoff not going to be that satisfying? Only one way to find out. We gotta keep watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Then click or tap the screen to watch the next video in this series, or to start over from the very beginning.